Willie and Sue Ensor of Redcliffs Station have been working within a group of 12 Canterbury beef farmers to identify management or technology changes that will lift productivity and profitability in their beef operations. The Beef for Profit Partnership Program is part of a Beef and Lamb New Zealand national initiative based on a successful program that was run in Australia.
The Beef for Profit Partnership Program is a Beef and Lamb New Zealand initiative. It's been running now for about 6 years. It initially started in Gisborne. We've been running in Canterbury for the last 3 years with a group of initially 12 farmers, all beef farmers. And the purpose of the program is to really focus on our beef productivity and performance within the farm gate. That, I guess, has been challenging on a lot of properties over the years because the beef cow is often seen as a second-class citizen. So I think there's been a level of frustration in terms of the performance within the industry, in terms of the beef cow, and so it was timely to have a really good look at that and push hard for some improvements in performance. One of the targets that we had when we started up this project was a 5% per annum increase in productivity, and as a group we've achieved that, so we've achieved just over 15% over the 3 years. And I mean, look, that certainly hasn't been easy. So, but it's been about focusing on key times of the year for our beef cows where we can have some influence, because a lot of the other times of the year she is on the hill and she's working hard. We've been looking at a range of issues within the farm gate that are affecting beef performance. That started off with forage systems, parasite management, that's been a huge one. We've looked at trace elements and we completed a project on that. We've looked at EID, which again has been introduced to the industry 18 months ago, and another really useful tool. We've looked at and focused again on forage systems towards the end of the trial, and more specifically looking at fodder beat and what are the systems we can put in and around that. The Redcliff station is more typical of where the beef cow is probably sitting now. It's certainly in the South Island. The intensification on lowland has pushed the beef cow further into the hills and her progeny. The challenges that are now being presented to a lot of beef farmers are that, traditionally they may have been a store property selling weaners. That market has proven to be pretty volatile over the last 5 years. There's been some really good prices, and then you have a tighter autumn and prices drop. So farmers are looking at ways in which they can change their systems to accommodate being in control more, and that means finishing their own progeny.
Redcliffs is a 2,000 hectare property. It was quite a bit larger, but we did a 10-year review and basically relinquished the high weather summer country. We normally carry a bit over 7,000 stock units. This last winter we actually wintered 7,800, and next winter we're planning on about 7,500 stock units. Stocking's 3,200 merino ewes, 350 half-bred ewes, which we breed off the merinos, and we calve usually 200 cows. We keep all the calves at weaning, take them through the winter on brassicas, grass feed them through the summer, and then the steer calves largely go to 5-star, and a lot of the surplus heifers get killed on the local trade, or if we haven't made weights, we'll sell them store on those markets. The strengths, I think, are that we normally have a very good spring growth. We're on the northwest side of the Mount Hutt range, which makes us quite snow safe in the winter. It tends to block off the big southerly snowstorms a bit. Our weakness is that we can have very dry late summer autumns. Another strength is we've got 85 hectares of K-line irrigation, which is all gravity fed, which has really changed the dynamics since we got rid of the weather flock, and we can concentrate on finishing or taking young stock through to a marketable stage. These rising 1-year-old cattle are weaned at the end of May, which is quite late to be weaning cattle, but on this farm we don't have a big area of flat country to hill country, so I've always left them on their mothers on the hill for as long as possible. But we're actually looking at growing extra fodder crops, fodder beet being one of them, as well as the kale that we grow, so that we can wean earlier, such as at the end of February, and introduce them to fodder in March and take them right through then. This last year I always wean the first calvers' calves in April, and there was a few older cows with them that we weaned them as well, and at that time all their calves weighed a similar weight. By the time we weaned these at the end of May, the ones we'd weaned earlier were 30 kilos heavier, so they'd put on about an extra half a kilo a day compared to the ones on their mothers. We don't really start selling them till March, April, and we're only getting them to 400 to 450 kilos. What we're looking at hopefully is being able to get them to those weights by before Christmas and be getting rid of them in December, January. The February, March, April period is our crunch time for feed here. We have typically fairly dry summers. So there's potentially a double bang for our buck here by getting them to weight earlier and saving some feed later on. Formalising some recording of the cattle and gathering strategic information is the first thing, and then the second thing was being able to compare that with other farmers. Makes a lot of sense of the data, and for me personally I think it was identifying during the year what times of the year we were performing quite well and what other times of the year we weren't performing as well, because I think the easiest gains are to be made by plugging the gaps in my system. I think for us, focusing on reproduction as being an important part of it. Seem to be lifting the conception rates of our older cows, and that's been focusing on some animal health issues, focusing on condition of cows, over calving, looking after them, and it's a wee bit of a self-fulfilling prophecy. I think as you do your cows better, they get in calf better, the calving span becomes a bit tighter, you have less second cycle cows calving, which helps them get back in estrus and calf again. We aim to mate only above 300 kilos, and the average has been 320, 330, and that seems to be coming through, that we're getting higher conception rates. We definitely have lifted our bottom line. We're learning how to do the job better, and I think looking at the early weaning, the opportunities there look quite exciting. That I think we can lift the gross margin of our cattle enterprise on this place by over 10%, and that's hugely significant.
This program was made with funding from New Zealand On Air.